Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained? Recognizing the red flags of toxic people is one of the most critical steps in protecting your emotional and mental well-being. Yet, it's something we often ignore. Why? Because we're conditioned to give people the benefit of the doubt. We convince ourselves that someone is just having a bad day or that they didn't mean it. But here's the truth. When someone shows you who they are over and over again, believe them. Toxicity doesn't always shout. It whispers, it manipulates, it drains slowly. It comes in patterns and habits, not always in grand, obvious gestures. It can be subtle, even charming at first. That's what makes it so dangerous. It wears a mask of kindness, intelligence, or vulnerability, and by the time you realize what's happening, you're already emotionally entangled. That's why recognizing the early signs is essential. One of the first red flags is constant negativity. This isn't someone who's going through a rough time and needs support. No, this is the person who always has something bad to say about everything and everyone, including you. They're the ones who suck the light out of the room. You share good news, and they find a way to bring it down. You talk about a goal, and they point out every reason why you'll fail. They live in a world of complaints, blame, and pessimism, and they want you to live there too. Don't mistake this for honesty or realism. This is emotional pollution. Another glaring red flag is manipulation. Toxic people are masters of control. They twist words, rewrite history, and use your emotions against you. They may play the victim one moment and the aggressor the next. They'll guilt trip you for setting boundaries, accuse you of being selfish, or make you feel responsible for their problems. They manipulate through charm or tears, threats or silence, praise or punishment. Whatever gets them what they want. And the worst part, they often do it so subtly that you don't even realize it's happening until you start questioning your own reality. Gaslighting is one of the most destructive signs of toxicity. It's when someone tries to make you doubt your thoughts, memories, or feelings. You say something bothered you, and they respond, "You're too sensitive," or "That never happened." Over time, you start second-guessing yourself, losing confidence in your instincts. You begin to rely on them to define what's real. That's not love, that's not care, that's control. Then there's the chronic taker. Relationships should be mutual, balanced, and respectful, but toxic individuals operate like emotional vampires. They take your time, your energy, your kindness, and give very little back. When you need support, they're absent or uninterested. But when they need something, suddenly they are at your door, on your phone, in your space, expecting you to show up for them no matter what. And if you don't, they make you feel guilty, selfish, or cold-hearted. That's not a connection. It's a transaction you never agreed to. Jealousy and competition are also key signs. A toxic person can't genuinely be happy for your success. When you win, they feel like they're losing. They might downplay your accomplishments, make sarcastic remarks, or even try to one-up you. What should be a celebration turns into a comparison. A supportive person lifts you up. A toxic one pulls you down just enough so you never feel like you're truly ahead. Control disguised as care is another insidious red flag. This is when someone tries to micromanage your life under the pretense of loving you. "I'm just looking out for you," they say, but what they're really doing is monitoring your every move, telling you what to wear, who to talk to, how to think. It feels suffocating. It feels wrong, but because they package it as love, you hesitate to push back. Love doesn't control. Love empowers. Remember that. Mood swings, especially extreme ones, are a strong signal of toxicity. If you're constantly on edge around someone, wondering what version of them you'll get today, that's emotional instability, not passion or depth. You shouldn't have to walk on eggshells in any relationship. The people closest to you should feel safe, consistent, and emotionally available, not explosive, not unpredictable, not volatile. Lastly, there's the constant drama. Life with a toxic person often feels like a never-ending soap opera. There's always a crisis, a fight, a misunderstanding. Peace is fleeting, calm is suspicious, and guess what? You end up being cast in the role of fixer, referee, or scapegoat. But no matter what you do, it's never enough, because for toxic individuals, drama isn't accidental, it's fuel. These red flags aren't coincidences. They're signals that something is off, that your energy is being siphoned, that your peace is under attack. And once you start recognizing them, you gain back your power, because you cannot change toxic people, but you can stop allowing them to change you. Setting boundaries is not just a polite suggestion for healthy living, it's a survival skill. It's what keeps your emotional energy intact, your confidence unshaken, and your sense of self alive. When you don't set boundaries, people will decide for you what your time, energy, and emotions are worth. And more often than not, they'll undervalue you all three. That's why you must learn to set boundaries like your life depends on it. Because, emotionally and mentally, it truly does. Boundaries are not about building walls to shut people out. They're about creating clarity to let the right people in. They tell others where you end and where they begin. They define what is acceptable to you and what is not. Without boundaries, you become a doormat, absorbing everyone's demands, problems, and negativity until you have nothing left for yourself. And the painful part is, most people won't even notice that they're draining you. Because you never told them to stop. You allowed it. You made it okay by staying silent. Saying no is not rude. It's not selfish. It's necessary. You don't need to say yes to every request, favor, invitation, or drama that comes your way. You don't need to over-explain, apologize, or feel guilty for protecting your space. A boundary is not a debate. It's a statement, and the moment you start treating your peace as something worth defending, people will either respect it or remove themselves, and both outcomes are a win. People often fear setting boundaries because they're afraid of losing relationships. But what kind of relationship is it if it can't survive honesty? If someone walks away because you drew a line, they were only there to take advantage of your lack of one. Real relationships thrive on mutual respect, not endless accommodation. You are not responsible for managing other people's comfort at the expense of your own well-being. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. Setting boundaries starts with knowing your limits, emotionally, mentally, physically. Pay attention to what drains you, what makes you resentful, and what causes you stress. That discomfort is not weakness. It's your inner compass trying to point you toward balance. Listen to it. If a conversation always leaves you exhausted, maybe it's time to limit it. If someone consistently ignores your needs, maybe it's time to reevaluate their place in your life. You don't have to burn bridges, but you can stop letting people walk all over them. Enforcing boundaries takes courage. People may push back, they may question you, they may accuse you of changing or being distant. That's okay, let them. Growth often looks like distance to those who benefited from your lack of limits. Stay firm, stay kind, but stay firm. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. A quiet, consistent no is more powerful than a loud, defensive maybe. And don't confuse boundaries with ultimatums. Boundaries come from a place of self-respect, not control. They sound like, I can't continue this conversation if you keep yelling, or I'm not available tonight, but I hope you have a great time, or even, that doesn't work for me. They are calm, clear, and centered. And they're not about punishing the other person. They're about protecting your inner peace. You may also have to set boundaries with yourself, with your time, with your phone, with your habits. You may have to say no to distractions, to overcommitting, to being the hero in everyone's story. That's part of the process. You can't be everything to everyone and still have anything left for yourself. And here's the beautiful part. When you begin setting boundaries, you start attracting people who respect them. You shift the energy around you. You create a space where trust, safety, and honesty can exist. You stop tolerating what drains you and start building what fuels you. You realize that you were never too much. You were just giving too much to the wrong people in the wrong ways. So, set boundaries like your life depends on it, because when you do, you stop surviving and start truly living. You become the guardian of your peace, the protector of your energy, and the author of your own emotional freedom. That's not just healthy, that's powerful. Mastering the power of emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring wisely. It means you learn how to stay grounded in your truth even when others try to shake it. It means you develop the strength to observe without absorbing, to witness chaos without becoming part of it, and to hold space for someone else's feelings without sacrificing your own. Emotional detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. It's the ability to protect your energy by refusing to carry what was never yours to hold in the first place. When you don't practice emotional detachment, everything becomes personal. Every offhand comment, every passive-aggressive message, every disappointment, it all hits like a punch to the gut. You begin to question yourself, lose sleep over things you can't control, and carry emotional weight that was never meant to be yours. People who haven't done their inner work will unconsciously project their chaos onto you. Without detachment, you become the emotional sponge, soaking up everything until you're heavy, exhausted, and full of resentment. Learning to detach means recognizing that your peace does not belong in someone else's hands. It means understanding that you don't have to react to every provocation, reply to every insult, or fix every problem. It's the power to pause before responding, to breathe when you want to scream, and to let silence speak when words would only deepen the wound. Detachment gives you the freedom to observe the storm without getting swept away by it. One of the most powerful signs of emotional detachment is when you can remain calm while others are losing their control. You stop being triggered by manipulation, guilt trips, or emotional outbursts. You see them for what they are, attempts to pull you into someone else's drama. But now, instead of taking the bait, you choose peace, you choose stillness, you choose not to let temporary emotion dictate permanent damage. That choice, that inner restraint, is strength. Emotional detachment is especially necessary when dealing with toxic people. These individuals thrive on emotional reactions. They poke, prod, and provoke because your response gives them power. But when you don't react, when you don't explain, defend, or engage, the power shifts. You're no longer playing their game. You're standing in your own light. And that silence, that calm, that refusal to participate, it becomes louder than any argument ever could be. But detachment doesn't mean indifference. You can still love deeply, care sincerely, and support fully, while maintaining your own emotional boundaries. You can be present for someone else's pain without making it your own. You can listen with compassion and still walk away if the relationship starts to harm you. That balance is what makes detachment so powerful. It allows you to show up with love while still protecting your soul. It also teaches you that closure doesn't always come from a conversation. Sometimes the peace you seek comes from accepting the apology you never got and choosing to move on anyway. You stop begging for validation or chasing understanding from those who never had the capacity to offer it. You detach not out of spite, but out of self-respect. You realize that their behavior is a reflection of them, not a measure of your worth. Mastering emotional detachment requires daily practice. It's not about shutting off your feelings, but rather learning how to guide them instead of being ruled by them. It's taking a step back before reacting. It's asking yourself, is this worth my energy? Or does this situation actually need my involvement? Or is my ego just trying to prove something? That moment of reflection can be life-changing. It creates space for wisdom to enter where once there was only impulse. As you strengthen this skill, you begin to see clearly. You notice which relationships feed you and which ones drain you. You stop overcommitting out of obligation and start choosing what feels aligned. You learn to walk away not because you're heartless, but because you value your heart too much to let it be bruised again and again. Emotional detachment is not a shutdown, it's a shift. It's the moment you decide that your inner world matters more than the noise outside. It's when you stop performing for approval and start living from a place of self-trust. And from that place, your energy becomes powerful, your boundaries become clear, and your presence becomes unshakable. That's the quiet strength of someone who's no longer held hostage by other people's chaos. That's the real freedom. Surrounding yourself with energy builders is one of the most transformative decisions you can make for your life. People either charge you or drain you. There is rarely a neutral exchange. Every conversation, every interaction, and every relationship either fuels your growth or feeds your doubt. That's why being intentional about who you allow into your space is not just important. It's essential for your emotional, mental, and even spiritual well-being. Energy builders are those rare people who don't just show up for you, they see you. They celebrate your victories without jealousy, support your dreams without judgment, and hold space for your struggles without making it about them. They don't compete with your light. They reflect it back to you even brighter. And being around them feels like breathing fresh air after being underwater for too long. These are the kinds of people who make you feel more yourself, not less. But to make room for these people, you have to first clear the clutter. That means letting go of relationships that thrive on gossip, criticism, drama, or one-sided effort. These are the people who pretend to cheer you on, but secretly hope you don't surpass them. The ones who only call when they need something. The ones who dismiss your boundaries, question your worth, or make you feel like you have to shrink to stay connected. Holding on to them doesn't make you loyal. It makes you exhausted. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to create conflict, but you do have to choose. Because every time you say yes to someone who drains you, you're saying no to someone who could uplift you. Your energy is not unlimited. Your time is not infinite, and the longer you keep watering dead plants, the longer you delay your own blooming. Energy builders don't have to be perfect. They don't always say the right thing, but what sets them apart is their intention. They root for you in rooms you're not even in. They correct you gently when you're wrong without making you feel small. They listen when you speak instead of waiting to talk. They add to your life in ways that feel effortless, honest, and real. You can feel the difference. A conversation with an energy builder leaves you inspired, lighter, more hopeful. You laugh more, you think bigger, you stand taller. They don't feed your fears, they fuel your faith. They challenge you not to break you down, but to build you up. They remind you of who you are on the days you forget. The more you surround yourself with energy builders, the more you start becoming one yourself. Your standard for connection rises. You begin to notice when something feels off, when a friendship is only transactional, when support is conditional, or when presence is just a performance. Your energy becomes your compass. If being around someone consistently feels heavy, chaotic, or draining, that's not a coincidence. That's data, and it's worth paying attention to. Sometimes the hardest part is realizing that not everyone can go with you where you're headed. And that's okay. Growth often requires separation. It doesn't mean you're better than them. It just means you're honoring what you need to thrive. Not everyone has the emotional tools to support your journey. Some people are chapters, others are whole books. Learn the difference and don't be afraid to turn the page. Also, remember that energy builders can be found in unexpected places. Sometimes they're not your longest friendships, but your most aligned ones. Sometimes they come into your life quietly, but their impact echoes loudly. Stay open, stay curious, pay attention to who makes you feel safe, energized, and seen, and nurture those relationships. Show up for them the way they show up for you. Support is not just received, it's reciprocated. Building your circle with intention isn't about having more people, it's about having the right people. The kind who uplift your spirit, match your effort, and remind you what's possible. When you surround yourself with energy builders, your life starts to reflect that energy. You grow with less fear, you take risks with more courage, and most importantly, you stop settling for anything less than what you deserve. Because you were never meant to carry everything alone. You were meant to build, to rise, and to shine. With people who light you up, not burn you out, and that kind of support, it's not just rare, it's sacred. Choose it, protect it, and above all, become it. Prioritizing inner peace over pleasing others is a radical act of self-respect. For far too long, many of us have been conditioned to put everyone else's comfort above our own sanity. We say yes when we mean no. We smile when we're breaking inside. We show up, give in, and bend over backward to avoid disappointing others, while silently disappointing ourselves. And at some point, that weight becomes unbearable. That's when you realize pleasing people is never worth the price of your peace. People pleasing often comes from a place of fear, fear of rejection, fear of being unloved, fear of not being good enough. So we overcompensate. We become the yes person, the fixer, the one who never says no. We abandon our own needs to gain approval, validation, and acceptance. But no matter how much we give, it's never enough. Because when your worth is tied to pleasing others, your happiness becomes conditional. It no longer belongs to you. Choosing inner peace means learning to say no without guilt, setting boundaries without apology, and standing in your truth, even if it means standing alone. It's realizing that your job is not to make everyone happy. Your job is to be authentic, and sometimes that authenticity will make others uncomfortable. That's not your burden to carry. People may call you selfish when you stop people pleasing, but there is nothing selfish about protecting your well-being. There is nothing selfish about refusing to tolerate disrespect. There is nothing selfish about honoring your energy, your time, and your emotional space. What's truly selfish is expecting someone to compromise their inner peace just to keep you comfortable. When you start prioritizing peace, you begin to notice who respects your boundaries and who only benefited from your lack of them. You see who sticks around when you stop overgiving, and you realize how much of your exhaustion was never about being busy. It was about being available to the wrong people for the wrong reasons. That awareness is powerful. It's painful, yes, but also freeing, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Peace isn't found in the approval of others. It's found in the quiet confidence of knowing you're living in alignment with your values. You stop chasing likes and start choosing life. You stop explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. And you stop molding yourself into versions that fit someone else's expectations but leave you hollow. Peace is not passive. It's a fierce commitment to choosing yourself every day, in every decision, even when it's hard. It takes courage to stop pleasing others. It takes strength to disappoint someone else rather than betray yourself. But the cost of not doing it is far greater, because when you live for others, you lose yourself. You forget what you like, what you want, what you need. You become a reflection of what others expect, a shapeshifter, a people pleaser, a shell. And deep down, you know something is missing, that something is you. Reclaiming your peace means reconnecting with your own voice. It means learning to pause and ask, what do I need right now? Instead of automatically prioritizing everyone else's needs. It means giving yourself permission to take up space, to rest, to say no, to not answer the phone, to not justify your choices. It means being okay with being misunderstood, because peace is not about being liked, it's about being whole. You don't need to explain your healing. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to earn rest or apologize for choosing quiet over chaos. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's fine. You didn't come here to be understood by everyone. You came here to be true to yourself. As you practice prioritizing your peace, life begins to shift. The chaos feels less loud. The noise loses its grip. You begin to attract people who value your presence, not your performance. You create space for joy, creativity, clarity, and connection. And you realize that peace isn't just something you seek. It's something you choose again and again, one decision at a time. So no, you are not here to please everyone. You are here to be real, to be grounded, to be at peace. Because when you protect your peace, you protect your power. And there is nothing more beautiful, nothing more unstoppable, than a person who chooses their own well-being over everyone else's expectations. Protecting your time is one of the most powerful acts of self-worth you can practice. Time is not just hours and minutes. It's your energy, your focus, your life. It's the one resource you can never get back, and yet so many people give it away freely, carelessly, without even realizing the cost. If you don't protect your time, someone else will use it for their benefit, not yours. That's why every moment must be treated like the limited, sacred currency it truly is. Time is not something you find, it's something you create through intention. The way you spend your time reflects what you value. If your schedule is full of things that drain you, stress you, or don't align with your purpose, then your life slowly fills up with noise instead of meaning. That's why protecting your time is not just about being busy. It's about being selective. It's about choosing who and what gets access to your hours and your heart. People will always ask for your time. Some will do it directly, others subtly, and a few manipulatively. If you're not intentional, your calendar becomes a dumping ground for other people's priorities. You'll find yourself in meetings that don't matter, conversations that go nowhere, commitments that feel like burdens. And you'll wonder why you're exhausted, resentful, and stuck. The truth is, your time has been hijacked by things that don't move you forward. Protecting your time starts with the word no. A clear, confident, unapologetic no. Not maybe, and not I'll think about it. Just no. Every yes you give to something meaningless is a no to something that truly matters. You can't say yes to your dreams, your peace, or your growth if your time is constantly being eaten up by things that don't align with them. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your hours simply because they ask. You owe yourself the discipline to protect what's sacred. You also protect your time by setting boundaries around it. Not everyone deserves a meeting. Not every phone call needs to be answered. Not every message needs an instant reply. Just because you're available doesn't mean you should be. There is strength in being unavailable to chaos. There is clarity in being unreachable when you need to focus. The world won't fall apart if you log off, turn off your phone, or decline an invitation, but your peace might fall apart if you don't. We live in a culture that glorifies being busy as a badge of honor. But busy doesn't always mean productive, and it definitely doesn't mean fulfilled. Protecting your time means removing the things that look good on paper but feel heavy in your soul. It means saying no to the obligation-driven yes. It means giving yourself permission to rest, to slow down, to do nothing. Not because you're lazy, but because you're wise enough to recharge. Time wasters come in many forms: toxic relationships, endless scrolling, meaningless small talk, distractions disguised as urgency. And sometimes it's not other people stealing your time, it's you. It's your own lack of clarity, procrastination, or avoidance. Protecting your time also means being honest with yourself. What are you avoiding by staying busy? What are you numbing with distractions? Who are you trying to please with overcommitment? Time management is really about self-awareness and discipline. When you start protecting your time, people will notice. Some will respect it, others will challenge it, but how they react is not your concern. You are not responsible for how people feel about your boundaries. You are responsible for honoring your life, and when you do, something shifts. You start living on purpose. Your days have rhythm, your choices have intention, and your energy flows where it's meant to, not where it's dragged. Eventually, your time becomes a filter. It reveals what truly matters. It helps you align with what you want, not what others expect. It allows you to prioritize relationships that nourish you, work that inspires you, and moments that bring you joy, because the goal isn't just to be busy, it's to be fulfilled. It's not just about doing more, it's about doing what matters. So protect your time fiercely. Guard it like it's gold, because it is. Spend it with people who value you, on projects that light you up, and in spaces that support your peace. You don't get today back. Use it wisely, live it fully, and don't apologize for protecting what keeps you grounded, focused, and free.